Okay, so to make the braided infinity scarf, we're going to be using some lightweight yarn. This is universal yarn in Color Burst, and this color is Aurora Borealis, which has some really pretty blues and purples and greens. This one isn't in its original packaging, which I'll do a little picture here so you can see what that looks like. And the reason being is I tried this yarn for another pattern and I just did not like how it looked, and rather than leaving it and wasting yarn on something that didn't look great, I decided to frog it and try this pattern instead. So we'll see how it's going to turn out. This has pretty long color runs and I'm hoping that the braid will look good, so we'll see how it goes after I finish. You're seeing this right now, that means it worked out well. But with the yarn, we're going to use a slightly larger hook than normal. This one calls for a 3.5. I'm actually going to go with a 5mm hook. This one's from Furls and it's their resin line, which is really pretty. I have a lot of their different colors. I'll link to this if you like the look of it. I'll also link to the yarn down below. So we're using a little bit bigger hook just so that it will drape better and braid better. So grab the pattern down below and let's get started. But first, if you like free patterns, free tutorials, and all kinds of free stuff, be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell so that you never miss out when a new one is released. Now let's get started on the pattern. Okay, to start the pattern, we are going to chain 56. So put a slip knot on your hook and go ahead and do 56 chains. You're going to be working into them like normal, so just kind of make them a decent size, not too loose, not too tight. And then we'll come back and we're going to actually join them. So I will see you at the end of the 56 chains. Okay, I've finished my 56 chains. Now we're going to join in the round. So I'm just going to make sure that they're not twisted by kind of going down the line and making sure they're all facing the same way. Take your time to do this because you don't want twisted stitches. Then I'm going to flip it around because I know they're all facing the same way right now. And I'm going to join with a slip stitch in that first chain. That one got a little small. I cannot get it in there. There we go. Okay. We are going to be working in spirals, so I need to keep track of my rounds. So I'm going to chain one first for the very first round, and then I'm going to single crochet in the back loop only of that first stitch, and then I'm going to grab one of these guys, kind of a small one. I'll just use this guy. So I'm going to mark that round and I'm going to change it every time I come to it so that we don't lose track. Then I'm just going to single crochet in the back loop only of every stitch around. So 56 stitches. And you're going to do this for 2 rounds. So you're going to single crochet in the back loop only. So I'll see you at the end of this round. Okay, here I am on the last stitch of round 2. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a stitch marker in this loop so I don't lose it. So I'm going to do a different color. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to cordon off our tube into 4 sections. So we're going to start with this last stitch that was made and we're going to count backwards 7. So the tops of the V's are going to be what you're looking for. So we have this last one, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then I'm going to place a stitch marker in the next stitch because I want 7 total on this side. And then I want 7 total on the back side. So this was the first stitch of our round, so that's going to count as 1. And then we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Again, I'm going to go to the very next stitch, not the 7th. And then that's going to give us a total of 14 around here. Then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go, this is our first stitch. So we're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we're going to enter into the next stitch. And then 7 on the back side. Remember to count the one you put the stitch marker through. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then in the next stitch. and then one last time. And if you have these lined up good enough, you can count them at the same time. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'm going to go here to the next one, or yeah, because I counted that one. I counted that one, didn't I? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, I did not. Okay. So make sure you're paying attention. You basically should have 14 stitches in each little section. So this is my last section. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 2 here on the corner. So 7 times 2, I have 14. So now I have 14 stitches within each of these stitch markers. So now I'm ready to start my tubes. So to begin the tube, I'm going to go back to this loop that I kind of held with the stitch marker. And this one we don't need anymore. That was just to hold that. And we're going to start our first tube. So we're going to keep working in spirals in the back loop only with single crochet. So we're going to come over here to this very first stitch of the round. We'll keep this as our first stitch. And we're going to do 1 stitch in the back loop and then put that back on there. And then we should have 6 more stitches on this back side here. So we have 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Then to continue the tube, because we're not going to work into this anymore, we want to have it part of this strand. We're going to turn the work and we're going to look not for where this one is in the stitch marker, the one next to it, because that's part of the next tube. And then we're just going to start single crocheting in the back loop there. So now we have started to form this very first tube. So here we are at the end of that round, and you're gonna want to keep track of these. So make sure you're marking off how many you're doing so that you have an even number or the same number of all the strands once you're complete. So here is the end of the very first tube. So now you can see that we've taken that. And then once we get going, once we finish this first tube, then we're going to come over and do the same thing for the others. So that was considered round 1, and you're going to work 144 total, so another 143 of those. It's gonna be a really long tube. Great project for watching TV, because as long as you're just keeping track of those rounds. And since these are such short rounds, I don't always use these, but these can come in handy. So this one, as you're going, you just click it, so that way you get to your next round. That's a good one for this, so that you don't have to like put it down and mark off a round. Like this little guy is a little quick clicker that you can do. I also have this ring that I love. Put it on the right way. This actually came from like kind of a gamer's website, you know, with like many-sided die and stuff. But this thing is awesome for actually counting your rows while you're working, because this you have to pick up to click, but this you can just turn it as you go. You know, once you get to 100, you'll just know that you're at 100 and start over. But it's, you know, it's got 90 up to 99, and it's really easy while you're crocheting. You just turn it and it sticks well, and then keep going, turn it, you know, and then that way you don't have to write. So I'll link both of these, so that way if you want to use one of those, it will help you out. Let me take this one off. So I'm going to go ahead and keep on with this tube, and then once we get done with that one, I'll come back and I'll show you how we're going to start the next one, and that'll be the same for the rest of them, so it's not difficult at all, but I will see you in a little while. Okay, I've finished 140 rows of the very first tube, and I just put a stitch marker in that last stitch so I wouldn't lose it. So I'm going to now cut this off, because we need the yarn to work our next tube. Just you can technically like put this inside of the tube once and not weave it in, so it's up to you how long you want to cut the tail. But we're going to go ahead and with a slip knot on our hook, we're going to head back down to the beginning, and start our next tube. So this is going to be the same for the next 3 as you on the very last one. Don't cut off your end though, but for the next 2 you're going to cut off your end. So we're going to work 14 stitches around, so we can take out this stitch marker here. We don't need that one anymore. And it's up to you where you want to start. If you want to start from this side and work around, or this side, whichever you prefer. I'm going to go ahead and start from this side. So we're going to go and just, without doing anything, we're not going to join with a slip stitch. We're actually going to start our first single crochet. So remember, going into the back loop only. So here's my next stitch. Here's the last stitch from the tube. So I'm going to go put my hook in, get some slack here, pull up a loop, and then pull through both. So that just starts me right off without having to do anything. It's already up to size and everything. So then we're going to do 7 on this side. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then I'm going to flip over and get the other side. So remember, this is part of the next group. So I'm gonna get this one that's not attached to the stitch marker and do my next one, so number 8. And then we go all the way through 14, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. And I need to reset my ring here. I have it on backwards. So there's a section that doesn't have color. So there's the section that doesn't have color. And then I'm just going to reset this. I've already done 1 round. So I usually set it, I move it to the next round when I start the next round. So now that I'm working the next round, I'm going to put my stitch marker in at the beginning of this, just to help me keep track. Since we're working in spirals, it will start to travel. So we're going to do another 144 for this tube, then 144 and 144. So I think you get the picture. I will see you at the end of all 4 tubes, and then we will start the next portion of the scarf. So I will see you in a little while. Okay, I've got all of the tube strands done, and I'm ready to now make my braid. Then I have my yarn still attached, and that's how we're going to start combining it back together to finish off the scarf. But first we have to make the braid. So you're going to lay it out flat, and I have not woven in my ends yet. I'm being lazy about that. And we're going to lay our strands out. If you want them all straight, that's up to you. If you want them all, facing the same direction, just give them a little pull and they'll get better. But we're going to start the braid. So to do this, we're going to number them. We're going to say 1, 2, 3, and 4. That way you can keep track, and in the pattern you'll see they are color coded so that it will make more sense as you go. So make sure you check out the pattern if you need more help on doing this 4-strand braid. So the first thing we're going to start off, we're going to do number 3 here. We're going to go over number 2 and under number 1. So I'm going to pull that all the way through. Then number 2, that's under number 3 here, we're going to go over number 4. Okay, so that's the very first step, and it's going to do this. It's going to kind of turn into a triangle. Don't worry, when you're putting it together again after we're done with the braid, it will work out. Now, when you're making the braid, make it as tight or as loose as you want to. I'm gonna try making this one tighter than the last one that I made, so you'll see the picture here. That one I did very loosely. I did it very like, here's where it lays exactly. I want to do this one tighter just to see the difference. Also, when you're making the braid, if you want to turn to make your turns, or if you want to kind of turn this way. So you can either flip it as you make your turn, or you can keep it all facing the same way and kind of come under and round. So whatever you prefer, I'll see how I feel as I go. Okay, so now we're gonna take number 1 over here and we're gonna go under number 4 that's coming around. So we're gonna bring that one under, spread it out. And now 4 is gonna kind of stay there. This is number 3, we're gonna bring number 3 over 4. Number 1 still staying over here. We're still keeping those to the right. And then we're going to weave number 2. So see how it went over? Now we need to go under. So we're going to bring 2 under, and it's coming this way, so it's going to go over this one. So we're going to pull that. So we've got that going on. And then you're kind of going to repeat that step. So looking at your braids, you're going to go start from the left. This one went under, so we're going to go over. How do I feel? I'm going to flip it actually. Let's do that. I'm going to flip this one too. Did I do that? Yeah, let's flip it like that. Let's do that. Okay. Then that one's facing over. Then we have this one that needs to go because it went over. We're going under, so I'm going to flip it because I'm going to try that this time. Last time I just curved it. I'm going to flip them under this time. So that went under, and this one's going to go over. Okay, got that one. Back to the left side, flip it over. Now it's facing over here. We've got our 3, so we're going to flip under and over. Pull those good. Flip over. Then under and over. I think you're getting the gist of it, so I'll speed this up a little for you. Okay, here I am near the end, and you'll see that I'm a little bit off on all of the braids here, but once I get kind of the end here, now I'm pretty good and lined up. I'm gonna do one more under there. Okay. So kind of get it to where you like the ending, and you'll see that I'm pretty good and lined up, and now I'm ready to do my next step. But I just want to look at this again. Make sure I like how it looks. Remember, you can make it as tight or as loose. I did this much tighter than last time, and it's still like we'll have give. So once you combine it all together, this is still going to move around a little because it's not attached. So you can adjust and move the strands still. So don't get too caught up on how it looks right now. Just make sure it's as tight as you want, and then we're going to move on to doing this portion. So with this, I need some locking stitch markers. And I need to put these together so I don't lose it. And actually, I'm going to go one more on that one because it's still kind of long. So get it to where you like and see how it's got that V like I said we had up here at the top. Don't worry about that. And then we're going to stitch mark, and don't worry about where it's at. Just get it so that your thing will not fall apart. So each corner that you've joined, and it doesn't really matter where your finished edge is or where your yarn is to where you're picking it up, because you're working in spirals. So that's the great thing about spirals. So I actually only need 3, not 4. And then you're going to just lock stitch all these ends together. And then you don't have to worry about it falling apart. So just do that next, and then we're gonna start combining those all back together. And I just realized that I actually did cut my last end. I just left my stitch marker in there. So either way, you can cut it or not cut it. If you do cut it, then you can start like on a corner, which I'll do. If you start, you know, if you were here, you would just start from there. So whatever, cut it, don't cut it, it works either way. Okay, I'm ready to join all my tubes together. So again, I just put them, you know, so they're in the spots that I want them. And what we're gonna do, and I'm super lazy, I should have woven in my ends by now, but I'll just do it at the end because that's how lazy I am. But we're going to start in one corner since I already cut this. If not, you can start wherever you're at. Just remember you're gonna go like normal, not left to right, right to left. And you're going to still be working in the back loop to make this as seamless as possible. So since I cut my yarn, I'm going to start off with what's called a standing single crochet. So instead of like slip stitching, chaining one, single crochet, I'm instead just going to start right off with a single crochet. So I'm going to go into the back loop only. I'm going to pull up a loop, and then I'm just going to single crochet. And I don't really need to place my stitch marker yet because I know when I get back to this, that will be the round. So I'm just going to keep working from here. So I should have 6 more that I want to do before I get to my stitch marker. So I'm going to single crochet in the next 6 stitches. Here's number 7. So 7 total on one side. Then I'm going to my next tube, and it doesn't really matter like where you're entering as long as you're doing 7 stitches across. So now I'm going to hit just the kind of the closest one that I see, which is this one. I'm going to do 7 single crochets in here. And I could move this, but I'm being lazy as usual to do my 7th one. And then here's my next one. So again, I'm going to pick the closest one that I get to and do 7 on this side. And I'm going to pull this out. I'm going to stop being lazy because it's in the way. And weave in your ends, people. They get in the way. Don't be lazy like me. Get them woven in. Okay, here's number 7. And then same thing, except this time we're making the turn on this one. So we're gonna still pick the closest one here and do 7, but we're actually gonna do 14 because remember there's 14 in each tube. So we're gonna make the turn to do the other side. So I've got, how many do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, then we're gonna turn it over so we can combine the other side. Let me take these stitch markers out and stop being lazy-ish, because I'm still lazy on those ends not woven in. Okay. Now we're gonna do 7 on this side in our purple tube that we've got. I really like how these colors turned out. I think it turned out cool because they're all complementary but different. So I think self-striping is kind of cool on this. When you get to like where it was the end of the round and you cut off your end, just make sure you're not missing any stitches. So this one was part of this stitch. So I'm going to kind of go around the whole thing. This is number 6. And I could even be really lazy and just tuck that in because it's not going anywhere. And then here's my very last one, number 7. Okay, now here's this side. So I want to look where I made my last one. So here's that stitch, see how it's pulling in the hole? So here's the next stitch I need to work into. So I'm going to do 7 along this side. Here is number 7 on this one. Again, for the next tube, look where you just did your stitches, kind of pull on them so you can see where it's pulling up. So that's where that last stitch on the other side was. So here's my next stitch. So again, 7. Okay, number 7 on that one. Now, very last one, we'll be joining our round after this. So this one, let's pull that out here because it's confusing me. So there's the stitch. So actually this is my very first stitch where the end, the round, the end, the round end, and the round, the ending of the round was. And then I'll have 7 for here. And I'm going to use a stitch marker on this next final round just so that I don't go too far, but I do have a tail so I can work off of that. But to be lazy, just use your stitch marker so you don't have to pay attention. All right, so here I am. Now I'm just gonna do one more round around, and you can see everything is joined, it's not coming apart. And we're only doing 2 rounds. We did 2 rounds at the very beginning because we want this to look almost like a continuous triangle, continuous braid. So we don't want a big, old, long chunk here. If you want to make a big chunk, you can, but really I'm just doing 2 rounds each just to give it enough stuff to be able to sew it together. So let's do one more round and then it's time to put it together. Place that stitch marker and then just work your way around. This one should be very easy. You're not having to like figure stuff out. So do this round, fasten off and weave in your ends if you're lazy like me, and then we'll come back and do the mattress stitch. One thing to note, if you want to use the yarn as it's attached, fasten off with a really long tail and don't weave that in. You're going to use that for sewing, or you can just sew it afterwards with a length of yarn, whatever you prefer. So I'll see you after all these tails are woven in. Okay, I am back and the scarf is all sewn, unfortunately, because my video got technical difficulties at the very end, so I did not, I did capture, but it did not work, the actual sewing of the mattress stitch of the ends. So I am going to link my mattress stitch tutorial, which is kind of easier to see anyways because I do it in contrasting colors. So that if you don't know how to mattress stitch, that's what you're going to go watch to see how to do that. But basically you're going to line up your ends, and you can see we had triangles, we have no triangles now. It's all nice and lined up and stitched together. So you have a very minimal portion where there's no braid, so you can always stick that in the back and you won't see it. Or even like you could bunch it up and wrap yarn around it to kind of make it a little style, so you could do that as well. But as you can see, everything is now sewn together, but you still have lots of give on your braid, so definitely, you know, decide how loose or tight you want it. But that is the braided infinity scarf. I hope you enjoyed making it. I would love to see what you make, so be sure to tag me. All my socials are below. And until the next time, I'm Deja with Knit and Crochet Ever After, and thank you for watching.